The infamous actress Sally Field, who had pivotal roles in Unwavering Grace, has revealed a gruesome fact about her connection with Burt Reynolds in the past. Unexpected habits, profound emotional challenges, and experiences that continue to haunt 78-year-old Sally Field. The charisma belied a domineering man whose jealousy obscured their affection on several occasions. Where do these assertions stand, though? Come with us as we uncover the specifics of the shocking confession, the one that ignited everything. The mid-1970s was a golden age for Hollywood, with its abundance of A-list performers and box office hits. Actor Burt Reynolds was already well known for his charisma, attractiveness, and infectious smile. All the while, Sally Field was proving that she wasn't your run-of-the-mill female protagonist. Her charm, charisma, and brilliance shone through in every part she portrayed. When they crossed paths on the set of the blockbuster Smokey and the Bandit in 1976, it altered the course of their lives forever. On set, they clicked, making lighthearted jokes and clearly enjoying each other's company. Their chemistry shone through in every sequence they shot together. It wasn't staged. A lot of people really liked Smokey and the Bandit. The plot was entertaining, the action was exciting, and the chemistry between Reynolds and Field was great. It was as if they had an innate understanding of one another and could collaborate with ease. Critics lauded it, viewers adored it, and the crew also sensed something extraordinary occurring behind the scenes. Their bond deepened quickly. Their subsequent collaborations in films such as The End, Hooper, Smokey, and The Bandit 2 followed the success of their debut picture together. Their bond became stronger with each new undertaking. On location, they spent a great deal of time together, during dress rehearsals and promotional activities. Their relationship was taking a romantic turn as it shifted from business to personal. When they were first dating, the fact that they were so complementary to one another was the main attraction. Sally became a source of inspiration and support for the self-assured Burt. She helped him reveal his more vulnerable side and gave him stability when he was feeling overwhelmed. Their friends and family have remarked on how she was the only one who could ever make him feel more confident. Similarly, Sally gave her all to their relationship. To her, Burt radiated charisma and the ability to liven up any room. His daring and infectious enthusiasm made being in his company an exhilarating experience. On the other hand, she treasured the quiet moments they shared together, free from the scrutiny of others. There was something endearing about their first romance. They were both at successful, exciting stages of their careers, yet they still found time to work on something deeply personal and significant. It was clear they were having fun on their relationship journey, from the way they looked at each other in interviews to their casual banter. For a while there, it seemed like they had found something special in the unpredictable Hollywood world, a real bond that could endure the scrutiny of stardom. In their personal lives as well as their professional ones, they were partners who brought happiness to one another. Sally once compared Burt to her children in terms of the impact he had on her life, highlighting the significance of those formative years for her. Even though it had a smooth beginning, their bond quickly began to show signs of fissures, love, stardom, and the early warning signals of trouble. The late 1970s were a banner year for Sally Field's career. Although she had previously shown her acting chops, her breakthrough came with the 1979 film Norma Ray. She played a manufacturing worker from a tiny village who was fiercely independent and won the respect of her co-workers in the film. Critical acclaim and audience applause were hers for her sincere, moving, and powerful performance. It was no ordinary part. That performance had the potential to launch or derail a career. Sally went from being a well-liked actress to someone admired for her dramatic skills with the release of Norma Ray. She took home the Oscar for Best Actress for her role in the picture, an accomplishment that would remain etched in her memory forever. She was able to open doors in the film industry after this victory. She had previously been considered only suitable for comedic parts, but now audiences believed she could handle dramatic and emotional fare as well. Sally and Burt Reynolds' relationship started to go downhill when her career took off. Upon their meeting, Burt had already achieved stardom as an actor, renowned for his charming performances and box office successes. Their dynamic shifted as Sally's fame grew, although he seemed to be supportive of her accomplishments at first. When Sally was the center of attention, allegations circulated that he wasn't always supportive. The news that Norma Ray would be making her world premiere at the Cannes Film Festival filled Sally with joy. It was a chance for her to exhibit her work on an international stage. On the other hand, Burt stayed behind. While Sally was accepting her Oscar at the Academy Awards, this happened as well. He had departed from her presence. A lot of people were worried about this. The absence of a significant other during these pivotal achievements appeared strange to onlookers. When two people achieve great success in the same demanding area, it can put a strain on their relationship. Even though Burt was always the center of attention, she was finally starting to get her due. They struggled to adapt to this shift. Behind the scenes, people in Hollywood may be going through tough times, but the glamorous aspect of Hollywood makes it all seem easy. Being renowned was beginning to take its toll on Sally and Burt. Some believed that Burt's inflated sense of self-importance hindered his ability to manage Sally's rising stardom. He still held her job in high regard, but he felt like their relationship was changing. Sally was finally breaking out on her own, even if Burt had always had greater fame. For some couples, this adjustment could mean more intimacy, while for others, it could mean more distance. As a result of her diligence, Sally was determined to make the most of the chances that came her way. She gave her all to every character she played, become known for my dedication and professionalism. Although she had no intention of competing with Burt, Sally's rising star power demonstrated that people saw her as more than simply his lover. With her triumph in Hollywood, she became known as Sally Field, a woman, an Oscar winner, and a gifted actor. It was becoming more apparent that her connection with him was strained and that she was succeeding at work. Even while they put on a nice show for the cameras with their cheerful grins and jokes, there were moments when they drifted apart in private. Love in the darkness. Sally Field and Burt Reynolds' once sweet romance evolved over time. Their relationship was more complicated than it appeared due to underlying issues, despite the charisma and humor they shared both on and off film. Their love journey was tumultuous and at times tragic, according to Sally Field's memoir. In his day, Burt Reynolds was one of the most famous actors in Hollywood. His inherent charm made him the center of attention wherever he went, and his name alone could fill theaters with moviegoers. On the other hand, Sally claims that Burt's self-assurance was occasionally too much. She went on to say that he was already known for his domineering personality, and that his celebrity just made him more so. Outsiders might not have noticed, but Sally felt constantly overpowered by his nuanced yet authoritative dominance. They seemed like the picture-perfect couple to the general public, radiating light as one. Nevertheless, behind closed doors, their dynamic was unbalanced. Because of his immense fame, Burt pretended that everyone should be interested in him. Even though she was physically and mentally adequate, Sally frequently felt she had to change to suit him. Consequently, a growing sense of undercurrent of tension developed between them. Her feelings for him were intense. Their affection was obvious, but it doesn't imply you'll feel at ease in their company just because you have feelings for them. Sally came to terms with the fact that being in his presence made her anxious. She had loved him so much, so this was a very hard truth to swallow. Feeling torn between competing emotions like that can be emotionally and mentally taxing. Despite being in the same room at the same time, there were moments when they appeared distant. The work they did on screen is a prime illustration of this. They shared a kiss on television once, and Sally said it was the sloppiest kiss she had ever seen. Her comment, which some thought humorous, actually pointed to a more serious problem. It seems as though the absence of passion during the kiss revealed a deeper reality. Their private relationship was not always consistent with their outward displays of affection. The sense of mastery she had was not always pronounced or strong. It might blend in with their regular conversations and be subtle and kind. It was evident in the decisions he made without asking her for her input. It seemed that his profession and reputation were more important than everything else, and that conversations revolved around his interests. Hoping that their love could overcome the tension, she tried to cope with it without feeling too burdened. Love shouldn't bring someone down, but the reality was that the connection often did the opposite, making her feel weak rather than strong. The charismatic Burt made it hard for anyone around him to stand out, even though he was appealing in his own right. Even though Sally's career was taking off, she was finding it harder and harder to escape Burt's shadow. I don't understand how they could have been so close and then go silent for so long. Unspoken words for 30 years. Sally Field and Burt Reynolds rarely spoke to each other in the years following the dramatic end to their passionate romance. They gradually drifted apart after being famously close as a pair for a long period. It wasn't like something happened out of nowhere. Rather, it was more like they were steadily drifting apart, like the tides. This space between them became permanent over time, and they maintained very little communication for the final 3 decades of his life. It might have seemed strange to anyone who had been following their trip from the start. Two accomplished individuals who were very connected to one another, they were once the ideal couple. However, difficulties arose over time, driving a wedge between them. Their once strong friendship has now collapsed due to misunderstandings, old hurts, and the urge to move on in life. Throughout her life, Sally took on new responsibilities, developed herself, and evolved subtly in response to love and grief. Burt deviated from the norm, acting independently and dealing with novel challenges. They were now separate beings, cognizant of one another, but unable to reunite. Their mutual quiet said more than any words could have expressed. Sally didn't harbor any resentment despite her lengthy absence. Knowing the truth and its impact on him, she was alert. Not because she didn't mean what she wrote, but because she knew how sensitive Burt was. She said that it was fortunate he wasn't alive to read her memoir. Because of her belief that her story would have hurt him, she felt a subtle pang of sadness. Even though they hadn't spoken in years, this suggestion demonstrated her compassionate nature. It demonstrated that love undergoes a metamorphosis and softening rather than a simple vanishing act as time and distance pass. Theirs was an intensely passionate relationship, and love remained inside. Hollywood's specter of a love story. A deep bond was immediately established between Sally Field and Burt Reynolds at their initial meeting. Their love affair was intense and publicized widely, but it also had its share of problems that had unanticipated effects on their lives after it ended. Their relationship's demise affected their lives and professions in profound ways. It seemed like a fresh, better chapter in Sally Field's life had begun with her separation. She embarked on increasingly demanding jobs that highlighted her versatility, becoming more committed and focused on her profession. During this time, she was quite successful, receiving accolades that recognized her talent and critical praise. It appeared as though the mental anguish of her previous relationship had a profound effect on her creative abilities, which were on full display during her performances. After splitting up with Sally Field, Burt Reynolds had an unexpected turn of events. Though he continued to work in the industry and preserve his fame, he often thought of their relationship with melancholy. He admitted his faults and the long-term effects of losing Sally in interviews included in his book, expressing regret for the way things turned out. Reynolds' sincere remarks exposed a man who, despite his success, was haunted by the agony of a love he had lost. They said somewhat different things in public regarding their relationship. Reynolds often expressed his adoration and regret for Sally by calling her the love of his life. He thought their connection was one of a kind and would live on in his memory forever. When asked about their time together, Sally was more guarded, with a more nuanced view that demonstrated development and progress beyond the past. She acknowledged the good times while simultaneously reflecting on the difficulties. What follows is an examination into Sally's life when she is not in the limelight. Behind the scenes of Sally Field's life, what was it really like? Sally Field has been through a lot in her life, including love, loss, and triumph. Even though she hadn't yet decided on a job path or life objectives, she wed Stephen Craig in 1968. Peter Craig, who was born in 1969 and went on to become a prominent screenwriter and novelist, and Eli Craig, who was born in 1972 and went on to become an actor and director, were their boys. The bond Sally had with her children was a rock for her during the storms of her marriage, which ended in 1975 following a 2-year separation. The public's interest with Sally's romance with Burt Reynolds began in 1976. Their love was strong and full of ups and downs. During their time together, they appeared in 4 films, and audiences adored their chemistry on-screen. Off-screen, though, their relationship was considerably more complicated. Despite breaking up in 1980, they continued to date intermittently until 1982, when they ultimately called it quits. Passion, challenges, and memories of their time together lingered long after they broke up. Sally wed producer Alan Grisman 2 years subsequent to it. Even more joy came into her life in 1987, when her third son, Sam, was born as a result of their marriage. But as is the case with many marriages, they eventually came to terms with their differences and filed for a divorce in 1994. One of the most terrifying of Sally's unforeseen hardships was a plane tragedy that occurred in October 1988. During takeoff, her private plane, which belonged to Merv Griffin, lost power and collided with another plane in Colorado. Although Sally and her family escaped with minor injuries, the experience taught her how quickly things can become nasty. Burt Reynolds' miscellaneous loves. Like the characters he played in films, Burt Reynolds had a fascinating existence, particularly when it came to his romantic relationships. Even in college, people could feel his charisma. Because of his attractiveness, people took notice. Burt's roommate even made a joke about how he could return with a date soon. To top it all off, his amiable smile made him stand out to the ladies. Marrying English actress Judy Carn in the 1960s brought a touch of romance into Burt's life. Even though their marriage was short, ending in 1965, it was a time of pure happiness for both of them. Then I enjoyed the company of actress Miko Mima for a while, which lasted quite a while. Burt Reynolds' love affair with Dinah Shore began in 1971. Dinah Shore was 20 years his senior. Despite their age gap, their love remained strong for 4 years. They were a lovely match, Dinah's poise and knowledge balancing Burt's naughtiness. Another chapter in Burt's love life was added in the mid-1970s when he dated country singer Tammy Wynette for a short while. But his bond with actress Sally Field was truly unique. They had a close relationship from 1976 until 1980 and kept in touch afterward. They had real-life affection for one another, and it showed in the several films in which they appeared together. Even though they had broken up, Burt still thought warmly of Sally years later, describing her as the love of his life. Burt Reynolds wed Lonnie Anderson in 1988. He found new love as a father through the adoption of a son, Quentin. Unfortunately, this marriage ran into complications and ended in the mid-1990s as a result of individual issues. How did Reynolds deal with the financial difficulties that he continued to experience despite his fame? Go from being a Hollywood mogul to bankrupt. At the height of his fame, Burt Reynolds was one of Hollywood's most beloved actors. His charisma, talent, and good looks made him a hot commodity, and he might make $10 million a year as a result. But Reynolds' wealth was dwindling due to financial troubles he was experiencing. Even if he had been successful, he began to tumble from grace after making a series of foolish business decisions. The Po Folks restaurant chain, serving Southern cuisine, was founded by Reynolds and music executive Buddy Killen. It appeared to be a decent idea at first, and it was based on a song by Bill Anderson that was quite successful. Unfortunately, Reynolds lost a substantial amount of money when the business failed. Together with Killen, he tried to get back on his feet by investing in Daisy's Diner, another eatery. This endeavor, too, was unsuccessful. Reynolds had also invested his own funds rather than those of a corporation, which only made matters worse. This meant that he bore the financial burden of the millions of dollars lost when both eateries failed. At the end of the day, he lost over $20 million due to these investments alone. He was still having money issues. He lost a substantial amount of money when his popular TV show, Evening Shade, was canceled. Concurrently, he went through a public and contentious divorce from actress Lonnie Anderson. His savings were already low before he had to deal with court fees, child support, and alimony. Fewer opportunities and poorer incomes were the results of his acting career taking a hit due to the unfavorable press surrounding his divorce. Bad things started to happen to Burt Reynolds in the mid-1990s. After claiming that Reynolds owed them $3.7 million from a loan associated with his show Evening Shade, the TV network CBS went ahead and sued him. Reynolds eventually filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 1996 due to his overwhelming debt. His assets were barely $6.65 million, but his debt was a staggering $11.2 million, he admitted. Reynolds found himself in a precarious financial situation as a result of his excessive spending, unsuccessful business ventures, and personal issues. He managed to emerge from bankruptcy, but he never really got out of his financial jam. His Florida home was foreclosed on in 2011 by Merrill Lynch Credit Corporation, who claimed a debt of $1.2 million. He was forced to part with the Burt Reynolds Ranch, a beloved property that served as the setting for Smokey and the Bandit and even featured a petting zoo. A housing development was built on top of the estate after it was sold. But this wasn't Reynolds' alone obstacle. In addition, he was battling multiple health problems. Reynolds is fighting on the sidelines. While Burt Reynolds was well known for his carefree attitude, his hectic lifestyle did not come without its share of problems. He became famous for his risky performances and his insistence on performing his stunts himself, rather than relying on stunt doubles. Throughout his career, his body bore the physical toll of years of reckless conduct, but his fearless attitude made him a film icon. Reynolds was dealing with some major health issues, despite his endearing and witty public persona. He was forthright about his history of hypoglycemia, a condition characterized by a sudden decline in blood sugar that could leave him feeling weak, lightheaded, or even faint. Even appearing on Johnny Carson's The Tonight Show, he made no secret of the fact that he was coping with this ailment. Reynolds discussed his battles with hypoglycemia and anxiety, two less visible but no less debilitating mental health issues. In 2015, he was honored for his achievements in the profession, in addition to his famed stunt work. He knew the physical toll stunting can take on the body since he started out doing them. Drawing on his own experiences as a stuntman, he brought attention to the risks of the business in his 1978 film Hooper. While filming, Reynolds suffered numerous injuries. One notable occurrence occurred during the filming of Deliverance, when he injured his tailbone while filming a scene with a real waterfall. Due to a fight scene injury, he had to have surgery for a hernia in The Man Who Loved Cat Dancing. Reynolds persisted in his job despite the agony of his injuries. In 1984, while filming City Heat, the most disastrous disaster occurred. On the very first day, a metal chair slammed into his face, leading to severe jaw problems and dysfunction in the temporomandibular joint. Eating was a challenge for him. Consequently, he shed 30 pounds by transitioning to a liquid diet. The prescription he took caused him to fight addiction for a long time, and the anguish was unrelenting. The toll that he had taken on his physique grew more noticeable as he aged. Following a back operation in 2009, he underwent a quintuple coronary artery bypass the following year. He remained resolute throughout his health battles. Not only was Burt Reynolds famous and charismatic, but he also managed to overcome significant emotional and physical setbacks throughout his life. But Reynolds' death was one of the most heartbreaking parts of his narrative. Who was responsible for his demise, and how did people respond? A tragic demise for Burt Reynolds. Hollywood legend Burt Reynolds passed away in Jupiter, Florida, at the age of 82 after a heart attack on September 6, 2018. A lengthy career in show business came to a close with his death. He left behind a body of work that includes films, TV shows, and unforgettable moments, cementing his place in the annals of entertainment. On September 20th, 2 weeks subsequent, a private memorial service was held at a North Palm Beach, Florida funeral home. His son Quentin, his ex-wife Lonnie Anderson, and a handful of close friends and family were present at the private celebration. Cast members Sally Field and Bobby Bowden, coach of Florida State University, were also present. Familiar face Lee Corso, quarterback Doug Flutie, and more. A fitting memorial to a man who enjoyed both public prominence and the quiet company of those closest to him. The service was quiet and intimate. His niece, Nancy Lee Brown Hess, received the cremated remains after Burt Reynolds passed away. In 2020, she did her part to preserve his legacy by compiling a biography and documentary on him titled I Am Burt Reynolds. On February 11, 2021, his last resting place was Hollywood Forever Cemetery. The actor's bronze bust was laid to rest at the cemetery in September in recognition of his illustrious acting career. A lot of people remembered him when he passed away. Originally broadcast on February 11, 1982, a special Johnny Carson episode of The Tonight Show including an intriguing interview and a spoof reminiscent of This Is Your Life with Reynolds was rebroadcast on Antenna TV. He was feted for his innovative contributions to filmmaking by Atlanta and Georgia's local media. Reynolds made a string of successful, high-budget films in the state before any other famous actor. Georgia became a famous American filmmaking location thanks in large part to his early work. For the remainder of the 2018 season, the Florida State football team honored Reynolds with helmet decals reading Band 1, a reference to his film Smokey and the Bandit. Reynolds' autograph was included on the decals. This was his way of paying tribute to his days playing football for Florida State University before an injury changed his career trajectory and his renowned film part. Reynolds received numerous accolades and was nominated for much more over his career. For his work in Evening Shade, he received 2 Emmy nominations, 1991 and 1992. In 1991, he was named the winner. He was nominated for an Academy Award for his role in Boogie Nights. In 1998 for Best Supporting Actor, but Good Will Hunting's Robin Williams took home the trophy. Not only did he win multiple accolades for the part, including a Golden Globe, but he also went on to win Best Actor in a Television Series in 1992 for his work in Evening Shade. Throughout his career, he received accolades from a wide range of industries. His work for Dan August garnered him a nomination in 1971, a win for Longest Yard in 1975, and a start over in 1980. It was clear that Reynolds could hold his own in dramatic, comedic, and action parts. His sustained popularity was demonstrated by his 4 People's Choice Awards. His involvement with stunt work and the physical side of filmmaking earned him an award from the Stuntmen's Association of Motion Pictures in 2015. In 1981, he was awarded an honorary degree by Florida State University and was instrumental in the construction of a Sarasota, Florida, performing arts complex. Burt Reynolds' influence extends far beyond the realm of film and award ceremonies. Palm Beach County, Florida, oversees a park in Jupiter, Florida, that bears his name. Fans and locals alike may pay tribute to the performer who captivated audiences worldwide with his charisma, humor, and enthusiasm at this park. Although a major era came to a close with Burt Reynolds' passing, his influence, personality, and legacy live on. His spectacular and enduring tale is a result of his critically renowned performance, inventive film production, and famous smile and Smokey and the Bandit. How do you feel about Sally Field being clean about her romance with Burt Reynolds? In your opinion, would things have turned out differently if they had wanted it to stay longer? Let us know what you think by leaving a comment. To get more fascinating articles on your favorite celebrities, don't forget like, subscribe, and enable notifications.